Am I the a-hole for not wanting contact with my stepkids after their mom passed? Catherine was my best friend growing up. She was the first person I told that I was gay. She hugged me and told me that I was still me. We were there for each other through everything for the last 40 years. My HIV scare in college, her children's births, my divorce, her divorce, and innumerable small and large life events. We got married to each other because we deeply loved each other and because she needed health insurance. Her grown children, whom I have known literally since birth, didn't approve. We tried talking to them, but they wouldn't listen. We eventually agreed that it would be best if I distanced myself from the kids. Catherine would travel to see them or arrange it so they could visit her while I took vacations with friends. Catherine went through her savings in the last years of her life, and I supported her completely. I didn't once ask where the money I gave her went. I paid for her trips to see her kids because she needed that. I paid for gifts she sent her kids and grandkids. It's just money, and I have more than I will spend in this lifetime. Catherine passed in October. All she left her children were sentimental items, pictures, old souvenirs, that sort of thing. She had no money. Her kids were disappointed but seemed to understand. Then just after Thanksgiving, they contacted me to ask how they were going to get their gifts. Last year, I rented a ski chalet in Montana for the family. I also paid for 2 days of cat skiing. I did not spend that holiday with them, but it was the last time I saw all her children and grandchildren together. I told them that their mother hadn't left them anything for Christmas this year. They were upset because they thought they were getting another trip to memorialize her, I guess. I told them that I was going away for the holidays by myself to spend time with my friends, and that's what I did. We spent 2 weeks in Morocco, and I mourned my friend. I didn't look at my phone the entire time we were there. I still take pictures with my Nikon SLR, so I didn't even use my phone for that. I finally turned on my phone on our way to the airport, and it was full of notifications and messages from her kids, most quite impolite. I messaged each kid, told them I didn't want to hear from them again, and then I blocked them. It felt like cutting off a limb. I love those kids, but they spent the last 5 years treating me like nothing, and now they want my money? I'm just done. Their father contacted me and said I was being petty and vindictive. He said that the least I could do was give them whatever my wife left me. I laughed. If I didn't have a great career and excellent insurance, all she would have left me was debt. So they are all young adults, some with children of their own. They have shown me that they do not want me in their lives. Am I wrong for agreeing and taking actions to make it so? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They don't want a relationship with you. They only want your money. Good riddance. You owe them nothing. They want a relationship with OP's bank account. You are not the a-hole, and I am sorry for the loss of your friend. Glad you could be there for each other. Thank you. She was an amazing person, and honestly, probably the love of my life. Just not my type. You sound like a very genuine person, and I'm very sorry for your loss. The story makes me want to hug everyone I'm close to. Those kids don't deserve you with how they treated you. Not the a-hole. No reason to lose sleep over people who treated you like crap and want to use you for your money. They're grown adults, not angsty teenagers. They are young adults. I don't know why our relationships went wrong. Do they know she didn't have money? No, it wasn't their business. While it may not directly be, there may also be a bunch of missing information that allowed them to fill in the gaps with their own assumptions. How you want to proceed, out of what love you had for them or your own peace, dictates how you move forward. Look, y'all, I paid for everything. Vacations, presents, hospital bills, for the entirety of our marriage. She gave you what she had, because that is all she had. Please do not contact me again, as there is no more blood from this stone. Yeah, they seem to be under the illusion their mom had money and left it to OP. I'd be clear with them that OP funded their holidays for years as Catherine couldn't afford them, and there was no money to be inherited. Make it clear the well is dry, and hopefully they'll give up. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not treating my stepdaughter like my daughter because I'm not her dad? I got married to my wife back in February. We both have one teen daughter each from our previous relationships, and we have 50-50 custody of both of them. We have them during the same week, so one week we have 2 teens, and the next is just the 2 of us, which is nice. We have had a couple of issues so far with parenting our kids. Multiple times now, when I try to parent my stepdaughter, my wife comes in screaming that I'm not her dad, so I don't get to punish her. The last time this happened was a few weeks ago. She just got her license a few months ago, and one night she snuck out with my car while we were all sleeping and crashed into a railing. The front bumper was falling off, and the entire passenger's side was scratched and dented. I'm not from the US, but it stayed 5 days in the shop and cost the equivalent of over $2,500. I was freaking pissed. Again, her mom defended her, saying I'm not her dad. I said, you know what? Fine, I'm not her dad. So this year for Christmas, I got my actual daughter a whole load of Christmas gifts and not a single thing for her. Both she and her mom were pissed and hurt. She asked me why I did that, and I told her that she's not my daughter, and she already cost me over $2,000, so she's not getting anything from me. Now they're both pissed, and my wife isn't even sleeping in our bedroom. Am I in the wrong in just being petty, or was I justified here? Not the a-hole. Do not have children with her. I anticipate the divorce soon. Probably yeah. OP, you don't have a stepdaughter problem. You have a wife problem, but you're choosing to make it about the daughter. Why did you two get married in the first place and combine families, if you're not actually going to combine families? It sounds like you and your wife are married and your kids are stuck in the middle and being divided. Your wife is the one teaching her kid that her behavior is okay. You take your issues up with your wife. She's the colossal a-hole here. If his stepdaughter is stealing and damaging his property, then he has a stepdaughter problem as well as a wife problem. Don't minimize her actions here. I really don't understand why people get married if they aren't willing to combine their families and parenting efforts. Agreed. It was very weird at first when my ex moved in with and then married his new wife. Dropping our kids off, knowing that someone else, someone I hadn't actively chosen to co-parent with, was now helping to raise our kids, put them to bed, comfort them if they fell over, tell them off when necessary, and possibly have different house rules and opinions from me, was hard. I know my kid's stepmother found it awkward at first too. How much should I do regarding disciplining the kids? Would she then have me complaining because they aren't her kids? And would my ex or his wife complain if he told the kids off for something she didn't think was an issue? But we're all adults, so we talked, acknowledged the weirdness of it all, calmly negotiated situations where we disagreed, and all compromised at times, even if that meant swallowing a twinge of resentment or anger. Because the one thing we all agreed on was that the kids come first. We wanted as little disruption, confusion, and stress for them as possible. I've had relatives say, I can't believe you let the stepmother tell the kids off or tell them what they can and can't do like that. She's not their mom. Their dad should do that. When they've done something, I would absolutely discipline them for too. That sounds like a recipe for teaching kids how to play one parent or step-parent off against the other, and for constant family arguments. And if their dad is out at work, should she just let them run riot? Inconsistent parenting confuses kids, especially very young ones. Yes, we have slightly different house rules on some things, but we all agree on the major parenting issues. And if we're unsure what the other would think or do, we discuss it like adults. I admit I've been very lucky that my ex remarried someone with a similar parenting and life ethos to me and him. If he'd married someone who believed the opposite of me on every issue, it may have been a lot more difficult. Also, none of us are perfect or saintly. Me and their stepmother have had a few frosty but polite conversations over the years, and she's argued with my ex over a few parenting issues. But we all try our best not to do any of that in front of the kids. Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying that my ex-in-laws need to unblock my number while they have my children if they want to take them anywhere? I, 35 female, separated from my partner, 42 male, almost 2 years ago. We have 3 children together, ages 15, 8, and 7. A lot has happened from then until now. Without getting too much into detail, I'll just say there are criminal charges and safety concerns where my ex is concerned, and I have sole physical and sole legal custody of all of my children. My ex is court-ordered to have no contact with my children. The problem arises because his family wants to have relationships with my children, which is fine as long as they respect me as the parent. However, that is not what happens. They constantly do things without getting my permission first, or even informing me, and they see no problem with this. As much as this bothers me, the one thing I cannot let slide is that I have said I will not let my children go anywhere with them if they will not unblock my number while my children are with them. There have been times when my kids were with them and I couldn't reach my child on their phone, and I attempted to get in touch via the adult, only to find that I was blocked. My calls go straight to voicemail and my text messages do not go through. I know this because I had to get a different phone in order to get through. I feel this is unacceptable and inappropriate. I need to be able to communicate with whatever adult my children are with while they are in their care. Am I the a-hole for setting this boundary? While my older child has a phone, my younger ones do not. Also, I don't feel it's appropriate for children to have to be messengers between grown adults. It's not their burden to bear. Stop letting them have your children, period. You are not nearly going far enough. I was court-ordered to allow them visitation. I tried to bar them from having contact, but the judge wasn't having it. They are still ordering me to go to mediation, even though he cannot have contact. It makes no sense, but they tell me I have to follow court orders. Visitation doesn't necessarily mean they get to take your children out of your sight. If they want to visit your children, they can come and see them at McDonald's. You can even sit at a different table, but the point is that you're there and supervising, and the grandparents can't take your children anywhere without you knowing about it. If the grandparents try sneaking their son in to meet the kids, you can witness it and call the police for violation of the court order. What does your older child say about this? Do they want to see their grandparents? Do they tell you where the grandparents are taking them? Do the grandparents tell the teen to turn off their phone? I have sole physical and sole legal, but the judge had court ordered that I allow visitation. I fought for supervised visitation, but the judge said that if there were any issues, then we'd go to supervised visitation. It's very frustrating because I do not have money for an attorney, as I am financially supporting all my kids myself. He's court-ordered to pay child support, but doesn't pay. Sounds like you shouldn't let them have contact, because you can't guarantee they won't let him have contact. By the way, I do divorce law. Yes, that's been my stance. But we got forwarded to family law, and that judge ordered that I allow visitation with his family. But that same judge also ordered visitation with him, and then the criminal court placed protection orders to prevent that. There isn't another family law judge where I live. It's very rural. Then your attorney needs to go back to that judge and tell him that his family is putting your children at risk by doing things with them without your permission and by refusing to answer your phone calls or text messages while they have your children, which is completely unacceptable. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my father's girlfriend that not everyone has to find her attractive? I, 18 female, have been living abroad for 2 years now at a boarding school, where I met my now boyfriend, 19 male. We have been together for 10 months and currently live in the States. I'm from Eastern Europe and go back home for the summer, spring break, and winter break. My boyfriend's family doesn't really celebrate Christmas, so I decided to have him come with me to my home country. My parents have been divorced since I was a young teen, when my dad, 44 male, cheated on my mom with his now girlfriend, 28 female. It's a very stereotypical relationship. The older rich guy with a hot young woman. She has had a lot of work done, Botox, lifts, long thick eyelashes, heavy makeup, etc., which many men here find attractive as it fits the beauty standard. My father always jokes about how all men want her, and how women want to be her, which makes me uncomfortable most of the time. In that house, I'm seen more as a smart woman rather than a beautiful one, because that title is already taken. Generally, I don't think I'm hideous. I'm just taller and not as thin as she is, which makes me uglier in their opinion. Anyway, our plane landed on the 23rd, but we stayed with my mom until Christmas, when we went to my dad's house. There, I introduced my boyfriend to everyone, including my dad's girlfriend, who was dressed in a skin-tight leather dress. Throughout the night, she kept sitting next to him, occasionally grazing his arm and talking to him whenever she could in English. Then, when she got a bit tipsy, She told me that I should be careful to hold my boyfriend back because a lot of men tend to fall for her. This was followed by some other jokes made by my dad as well, where they were overall insinuating that she could steal my boyfriend at any time because she is more attractive than me. I finally had enough of her nonsense and told her, in our native language, that she should stop thinking everyone wants to bang her and her plastic face. My father then yelled at me and told me I had no right to say such things, but before he could do anything else, I took my boyfriend's arm and left. Most of my family thinks I overreacted over a joke, but none of them know how I feel about jokes like these. My boyfriend said I had every right to say that, and so did my mom. I do not want to apologize to anyone, as I have always been the one to apologize to them. But I also didn't want to ruin Christmas night. Am I the a-hole? Edit. She is his girlfriend, not his wife. I do not have a stepmom. I only have one mother. And you're not going to apologize. You did nothing wrong. Your dad is a sick fool for doing this to your mom and for even comparing your appearance to his girlfriend. I'm so sorry. Let's not forget the fact that OP's boyfriend was sexually harassed the entire time he was there. There is nothing wrong with calling out a harasser and leaving. Not the a-hole, and thank you to OP for doing the right thing. I even believe OP could have escalated far earlier and more strongly to protect her boyfriend from this harassment, and she would still be not the a-hole. Why do you have a relationship with someone like that? Him being your dad doesn't negate the fact that he's a creep, and that apparently both him and his girlfriend are pervs focused on nothing but sex appeal. Not the a-hole. Go no contact and live a good life. I studied a lot to go to a boarding school, which is pretty expensive, and want to go to a good college too, which will probably be expensive as well. Honestly, I could use the money. I barely see him anyway. Are you also going to go to college in the US? It might be good for you to have an ocean and a continent between you, your dad, and his plastic girlfriend. If he's wealthy, he probably controls the finances. But if you study hard, you'll make your own way in this superficial world. Good job telling the girlfriend off. She sounds horrible. That's what I want to do. I'm okay with enduring all of this for my education. It would only be bad for me if I cut ties.